Hello boys and girls, and welcome to the second part of today's math lesson. Today we are doing chapter 7.11, which is talking about AM and PM, and we are asking ourselves the essential question and then answering the essential question: how do you use AM and PM to describe times? So just if you remember from the last video, I kind of explained that AM is kind of things that you would do in the morning, right? And PM is things that you would do in the afternoon or in the evening. So in the AM, for the most part, in the when AM first starts, right at midnight, you're still pretty much sleeping. So you're actually kind of spending half of the morning sleeping. And then once you wake up, things that you might do are like eat breakfast in the AM. You might ride the school bus in the AM or get to school in the morning. And then PM is usually around lunchtime. That's when PM kind of takes effect, as at noon or 12 o'clock PM. And that goes all the way until midnight again. So some other things that you might do, like I said, you might have lunch in PM. You would have dinner at PM. You might do your homework at your house in the PM. So those are just kind of some examples of different things that you might do in the AM and things that you might do in the PM. So now we're going to kind of continue on and find out just how we use AM and PM when we're telling time. Okay? So it says draw the clock hands to show each time, then write each time. So this is just kind of like another warm-up piece. So we don't really have times for us to show, but it says describe some activities that you do in both the morning and evening. So what I want you to do for this part right now is just think for a couple seconds about one or two things that you do in the morning and one or two things that you do in the evening. So I'll give you about like maybe 10 to 15 seconds to just kind of brainstorm some ideas on what are some things that you might do in the morning and in the evening. Okay, so hopefully you came up with some ideas on what you might do in the morning and the evening. And now we're going to, again, learn how to use AM and PM to decide when exactly we do those things. Okay, so noon is 12 o'clock in the daytime. Midnight is 12 o'clock at night. And this part is a little bit tricky because it's, PM, so noon is 12 o'clock in the daytime, but that's when PM starts. Midnight is 12 o'clock technically at night, but that's when AM officially starts. Okay, so it is kind of tricky. It's almost like the morning starts at night and the afternoon or evening nighttime start kind of in the middle of the day. So it is a little bit tricky. So just kind of remember that AM goes from midnight all the way till 12 o'clock noon in the daytime. And then PM goes from 12 o'clock noon in the daytime all the way to midnight at 12 o'clock. So times after midnight and before noon are written with AM. So like 11:30 AM is in the morning, just like how you see here. Times after noon and before midnight are written with PM. So 11 o'clock PM is in the evening. So again, at 11 o'clock PM, you might be sleeping. So it says write the time, then circle AM or PM. So what this is showing here is that going to the library is going to be at this time. So first we have to find out what time that is. Okay, so the hour hand is kind of pointing almost on the 3, not quite, in between the 2 and the 3. So that means that the hour is going to be 2. And then we have to find out how many minutes. So we're going to count by 5s all the way to the 10. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So this time is showing 2:50. Now, if it's 2:50 and we're going to the library, would that be AM or would that be PM? So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to think about it. Would you go to the library at 2:50 in the morning, or would you go at 2:50 in the afternoon? Take a few seconds to think. Okay, so if you guessed 2:50 p.m., that would be the correct answer, because 2:50 a.m. would be really, really early in the morning. That's only like almost like 3 hours after midnight. So that would still be really early in the morning. Hopefully you're still sleeping at 2:50 a.m. 2:50 p.m. would be a time right, maybe not right after lunch, but lunch had already passed, but it's right before you might like pack up to go home for the school day. Okay, so 2:50 p.m. makes the most sense here. Now let's look at this one. So waking up. Let's check the time. So the hour hand is pointing right at the 7, and the minute hand is pointing at the 2. So we go 5:10. So right now this time is showing 7:10. Now 7:10, would you be waking up at 7:10 a.m. or would you be waking up at 7:10 p.m.? I'm going to give you another few seconds to think about that. Would you wake up at 7:10 a.m. or 7:10 p.m.? Okay, so remember, a.m. is usually the mornings, right? So you usually wake up at 7:10 a.m. Okay, so if you wake up at 7:10, chances are it's in the a.m. Again, there's some exceptions, right? Some people might, take a long nap in the afternoon and wake up at 7:10 p.m. That's definitely possible too, but in terms of waking up to like kind of start your day, that would be 7:10 a.m. Okay, so there's some examples again of a.m. and p.m. All right, now it says write the time, then circle AM or PM. So here's some other activities. Eating lunch. So I see that the time here is showing 11:45, right? The hour hand's in between the 11, and then the minute hand is pointing at the 9. Remember, we can also say quarter till 12, right? We can say 45 minutes after 11, or we can say 11:45. We learned that in our lesson yesterday. Okay, so 11:45 is the time. So if we're eating lunch at 11:45, would that be AM or PM? This one can be kind of tricky. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it. So if you're eating lunch at 11:45, you would want to eat lunch at 11:45 a.m. Now, I know we talked about how lunchtime is usually in the afternoon, so you're saying, well, Mr. Pegalo, why is it not p.m.? Well, remember, 11:45 is only 15 minutes before noon or 12 o'clock, right? So it's very possible that some people eat lunch technically in the morning and not in the afternoon. But if you were to eat lunch at 11:45 p.m., that would be basically eating lunch 15 minutes before midnight. That's just not reasonable, and that's not nobody eats lunch at 11:45 p.m. 15 minutes before midnight. You might have like a midnight snack if you're up that late, but nobody eats lunch at that time. So 11:45 a.m. makes more sense because again, that's 15 minutes until noon when a.m. goes to p.m. So it is very possible that some people actually eat lunch a little bit before noon or 12 o'clock. Okay, so 11:45 a.m. makes a little bit more sense there. All right, and then leave school. So let's look at the time here. So the hour hand is pointing at the 3, and the minute hand is pointing on the 1, which means 5. So the time here is showing 3:05. And if you're leaving school at 3:05, are you leaving school at 3:05 a.m. or p.m.? So if you're leaving school at 3:05, you are leaving school at 3:05 p.m. Again, 3:05 a.m. would be really early in the morning, 3 hours and 5 minutes after midnight. So you would definitely not be leaving school that early in the morning. You wouldn't have even gotten to school yet at that point. So 3:05 p.m. is an appropriate time for when you would be leaving school. Okay? Write the time and circle AM or PM. Go to science class. So this one is in between the 10 and then the minute hand is showing on the 6. So it's half past 10 or 30 minutes after 10 or 10:30, right? So 10:30 is our time, and going to science class would be AM, right? Because again, 10:30 p.m., hopefully by that time you are sleeping at 10:30 p.m. So 10:30 a.m. would make the most sense here, okay? Now it says, look at the moon. All right, so I see that the hour hand is kind of pointing in between the 8 and 9. So the hour is going to be 8, and then 5, 10, 15. So the time is 8:15. And would you see the moon at 8:15 a.m.? Probably not. I mean, the moon might still be out, but in this case, the picture is showing that it's really dark outside, so I'm assuming that it's nighttime. And so therefore, you would look at the moon in the nighttime at 8:15 p.m. Okay? So those are just some examples of things that you would do during AM or PM. So it says, complete the story. Use the times in the dispenser. So Don got to school at, we have 10:15 a.m., 3:20 p.m., and 8:30 a.m. So 8:30 a.m. seems to make the most sense here. So we're going to put this one here, right? 8:30 a.m. That's like early in the morning. His class went to the library at, could it be 10:15 a.m. or could it be 3:20 p.m.? So remember, 3:20 p.m., that's pretty much when it's about time to get ready to go home after school. So his class probably went to the library at 10:15 a.m. After school, Don read a book at 3:20 p.m., right? So again, his school might get out a little bit earlier, but 3:20 p.m. is still an appropriate time to read a book after school, okay? Here's a problem that was kind of like the one on the video that we watched. So some times are shown on the timeline. Write a label for each dot that names something you do at school during that part of the day. At what times would you say the dots are placed? Okay, so this one is showing in between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. So we can probably say that this dot right here is probably showing 9 o'clock a.m., right? So we're going to write that one first. We're going to slide it on over here. So 9 o'clock a.m. So think about something that we could probably do at 9 a.m. So at 9 a.m., we are probably in school, right? If we were actually in school, 9 a.m. might be a good time for us to be doing phonics, right? So maybe we can write something like phonics lesson, right? So we're going to put that one over here on this line. And now this dot is going between noon and 2 p.m. So 12 o'clock p.m. and 2 o'clock p.m. So this one we could probably say is showing about 1 o'clock p.m., right? And so what are some things that we would do at 1 o'clock p.m.? All right, we pretty much just had lunch, so now we're in between 1 o'clock p.m. and 2 o'clock p.m. Maybe we're doing some math, right? We're working on some math during that time, or we might even be going to a special at that point. So we might be doing music class or art class, or PE class, or library, okay? But so those are just some things that, like, I'm thinking about a regular school day. We would be in these places during those times, okay? All right, and our last problem, our last question. The clock shows the time that Jane went to recess. At what time did she go to recess? So the clock is showing 11:30, right? 11:30, 30 minutes after 11, okay? But 11:30. So would she be going to recess at 11:30 a.m. or 11:30 p.m.? We already know that it's not A and C because the clock doesn't show 6 o'clock, right? So would it be 11:30 a.m. or 11:30 p.m.? Well, so she might go to recess before lunch, right? And remember, 11:30 p.m. is like late at night, like right before midnight, 30 minutes before midnight. So she wouldn't be going to recess 30 minutes before midnight. She could go to recess 30 minutes before 12 o'clock noon, which could be her lunchtime, okay? So 11:30 a.m. would be the best choice. So we're going to circle that one. Okay, everybody? All right, so you can now log into Think Central and complete the assignment for Chapter 7.11. Hopefully this video was helpful to you, and good luck on your math homework. Bye, everybody.